Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to Fantasy Football Futures. Today is Wednesday, October 20th. I'm Tyler. This is Tim.
What's up?
And today we are going to give out some of the booms and busts over Week 6 Fantasy Football. This was a down week for overall for fantasy from last week. But we still had some guys who put up some really good numbers and some people who kind of underperformed this week for some plays. So we're going to go over that today, and then as well as jump into some of the news around the league. There's a lot of injuries coming up, so we'll go over that. If you're listening on Spotify and you want to watch video, go over and check over our YouTube channel and go hit that subscribe button. If you're watching YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out, support, comment, do whatever you need to do. But let's go ahead and jump right into some of the news around the league this week, starting with some of the injuries. Nick Chubb out again for this Week 7 matchup against the Broncos, as well as his counterpart, Kareem Hunt. Both going to be out, as well as Baker Mayfield with his left shoulder is going to be out too. And this is just 3 of a list of like 8 guys that are dinged up right now. We know Odell also he's dinged up. He's game time decision. Their tackle, I think 2 guards, tackle.
Left and right tackle, yeah.
So their 2 tackles and a guard are also dinged up. So this opens the door to Dearness Johnson, and Felton is their other backup running back to kind of take over that role. Who's their backup quarterback? Case Keenum, right?
Yeah, Case Keenum's
going to get that start. So Browns overall for this Thursday night game, everybody's dinged up. Bridgewater is questionable for Thursday now. He had a foot injury, and he says he's planning on playing, but that's something to keep an eye out for with him. And then some other big news is Dawson Knox, who's kind of played into that tight end role in Buffalo and kind of looking like a top 5 tight end, scoring touchdowns. I think he had a touchdown 3 straight weeks. Broke his hand on Monday Night Football.
He threw that 2-point conversion with a broken hand.
Yeah, so that's something to keep out. That might boost some of that. Emmanuel Sanders definitely, and Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley. See them getting more touches in the red zone. But that was a big one. Gibson, who's been battling a leg injury all year. He went down in the first half of their game.
Fractured shin or something.
It's like shin splints. So he's one that I don't know. I think you got to keep playing it by year. But right now, I say if Gibson's smart, you sit out right now. Mm-hmm. You give it a week or 2 and just play it out by year. Christian McCaffrey got put on the IR this week, right? Last week, right?
Yeah.
So he's out for 2 more games. So if you had holding on Chuba Hubbard, you're riding him out longer. What else? And then Julio got hurt again. Same thing, re-injured that hamstring on Monday night as well. Just he can't seem to stay healthy. But I think that's if you're an AJ Brown holder right now, I think you're feeling pretty confident with him coming back and slowly getting more reps to. He kind of looked his form in the second half on the game on Monday night. So I think with Julio getting injured, it's only going to help him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so those are the big injuries that I have written down. Were there any that we missed?
Yeah, I got 2. I got Kadarius Toney is doubtful ankle. For Sunday. Re-injured that ankle. There's been even talks that could be pretty serious, so they're kind of looking at that. And then number 2, Campbell for the Colts went on IR, and he's pretty much done for the season. Yeah. So if you have Michael Pittman, he looks a little bit better.
Looking up, yeah. It's just Paris Campbell just can't stay on the field, which is a shame. And that Kadarius Toney, we noticed that his ankle was taped up 2 weeks ago too. So hopefully it's just kind of like a 2-week dinged up thing and moving on. Barkley, his ankle's still messed up, so it's just really something to keep an eye out for.
And then I think they said, mine just went blank. We'll go back to it. Never mind.
Yeah. So that is all the news, injuries around the league that we're looking at. There's been rumors lately that I did see about Dolphins trying to go all in on Deshaun Watson, but we just got an update here saying those rumors were false, so that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. If I'm the Dolphins, I don't know what you're going to give up for a guy like that because you have no idea.
And the rumor earlier, it was the football team was going to be a part of it, and Tua would actually go to the football team and not to the Texans.
Dolphins?
Tua would go from the Dolphins to the football team, and then Watson would go to the Dolphins.
Interesting.
But then I'm guessing that just means
he would fly over to
all those draft picks would just go to the Texans.
Yeah,
that's how I would think it'd be set up. But supposedly the rumors are false, so you can only speculate.
That's something to keep an eye out for. I don't know Deshaun Watson right now. I'd stay away. He's got 2 dozen or so assault cases on him right now, so it's not looking great. But yeah, so that's all the news around the league. Now let's go ahead and jump into some of the booms and busts of Week 6 for fantasy football. We'll break it down by position. I did 3 for each position. We did just a list of 3. We just took top 3 pretty much of each one. Wide receiver, I did add one more just because there was an extra little boost there. But let's go ahead and start with quarterbacks here. The highest point getter for this week was Dak Prescott. He had 28.8 points, 445 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception and a fumble, so you're looking at 4 points that he missed there. But I think this was kind of the game where this is what we expected this offense to look like all year. And I think Dak Prescott is going to continue to do stuff like this. When the run game's not working as well as they want it to be, you can easily rely on Dak. And I know that was another one. He did have a calf injury, but he's saying it wasn't major and anything. Yeah. So big overtime win, big pass to CeeDee Lamb to end the game. But yeah, Dak Prescott with 28.8, leading the quarterbacks this week in overall points.
Yeah, I thought going into this game, the Patriots and Cowboys were going to be able to kind of stay close in the score. So the whole time, Cowboys would come back, Patriots kind of take the lead back, kind of going back and forth. That's when you have to throw the ball a lot more.
Oh yeah,
because you've seen the Cowboys with Zeke and Pollard, they're kind of the top 5 running team, just running the ball the whole time. So now games like this, when they have to throw the ball, they're better than most teams in this league doing it. So you kind of expect this from Dak. 28 points, like you said, 440 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I think 2 of them came pretty late. At least one came in the overtime to CeeDee Lamb.
One came to CeeDee, and then they ran one in. Dak fumbled on the goal line as well.
Yeah.
So it was just they had a pick 6 as well. It was just a back and forth game between them, but Dak was moving the ball around. I think he did most of his work in the second half for sure. So I don't know. Cowboys can easily be a pass first offense if they wanted to, but you're paying Zeke a lot of money, so they're going to run the football.
Yep.
So he looked good. I expect him to continue to do that. This is something he can put up each week if he had to. We saw it last year. Our second highest getter for our boom of the week for quarterback is Josh Allen with 28.7 points, just right behind him. He had 353 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and he did have an interception. He fumbled as well, right? Or no, he got stuffed. Never mind.
Yep, he got stuffed on 2. I feel like 2 4th and
it was 4th and 1 at the goal, and then 4th and 1 at the 3. He got stuffed in. But this is a performance you expect out of him playing a bad secondary team in the Titans. Him and Diggs finally cut on that connection that we've been expecting to happen all year, and what we saw last year. So Josh Allen here, another big performance. For me, I feel like this was kind of an underachievement for him in this game based on what we saw him do against the Chiefs, but no doubt you're not going to be mad with 28 points.
I was going to say, I expect Josh Allen to be the number 1 quarterback coming out this week against the Titans defense that's just giving up a ton against the pass. They've actually done okay against the number 1 wide receivers for teams, but Stephon Diggs was able to get open and score. He had 1 or 2 touchdowns.
He had one.
And then Emmanuel Sanders had a lot of targets, but just could never find the end zone. So it was kind of a little bit disappointing, but like you said, you're not going to complain about 28 points. No. But everyone thought the Bills were going to score a ton of points on this defense. Yeah. And credit to the Titans, they were able to stop them when they had to.
Yep, and that's what, it was a great game back and forth, but I feel like Josh Allen, he had a huge week, but I feel like it could have been bigger, like we talked about. And then the last quarterback here that I have on the booms list is Kirk Cousins, actually. He had 28.5 points, 373 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. And the Vikings were playing
Panthers.
They played Panthers this week.
No.
Oh yeah, it was the Panthers. Yeah. So big week here. Kirk Cousins. He started out slow, but he really put it on towards the end. Really relied on Thielen a lot. You saw Jefferson started to get involved more, but I actually was listening to a stat that people were talking about how Kirk Cousins, since like 2019 or something, he is the second most 3 touchdowns, no interception games in the league or something like that.
Yeah, he's had 3 already.
Or 2016 or something like that. He's second behind, I think, Rodgers. So to me, that's a crazy stat for Kirk Cousins. It's just this year I feel like he's played smart football back there. How many interceptions does he have? 2?
He has 2.
So it's just he's playing really smart, getting the ball out quickly, utilizing Thielen, and it really helped, I think, having Dalvin Cook back this week too.
So yeah, that's why I noticed big time is so the last 2 weeks. Week 4 was the first week without Dalvin Cook. He had 11 points, and in week 5 without Dalvin Cook, he had 14 points. And then when Dalvin Cook's in there, he's getting at least 22 points a matchup. So Dalvin Cook, I think Madison does a good job back there. But for some reason, Kirk Cousins, it's just not the same without him. I think it's also because Madison is not Dalvin Cook, so they kind of sit back a little bit and they don't have to crowd the box.
You have to respect the run more when Dalvin's back there, and it's what you do. Dalvin's, I would say, easily top 5, top 3 running back in the league, no doubt. So you have to trust that or protect the run first, and then try to have Kirk beat you. And right now, he's playing really well for the Vikings, and I don't know. I like to see him play well. I know Kirk Cousins has struggled in big games, but it's nice seeing the Vikings play. They're a team that easily could be like 4-2, 5-1 going into it.
He's number 10 quarterback, but those past 2 weeks when he had duds, that's the reason why, or he would be a top 5 quarterback easily.
And that's what. So Kirk Cousins has performed really well this week, and I think this is like his third or fourth time being in the top 5 this week. So that was our last quarterback boom. Running back booms. We'll go ahead and we'll just start it off early here. Give the crown to Derrick Henry. 38.6 points, 143 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns on a Bills run defense that was number 1 coming into this game, or maybe number 2 behind the Bucks. He's just, I don't know, he had a 70-yard touchdown run. He gets, I think they said he was moving 21 miles per hour, which is an insane speed for somebody who's
the fastest, max speed this year.
Especially for someone who's like 6'3", 250 pounds. It's crazy to me. But, I mean, you look at him, this is his 3rd game this year with 3+ touchdowns, right?
Yes.
And he's clearly showing right now he's the best running back in the NFL. And it's tough. I mean, like, Christian McCaffrey can do so much for you, but Derrick Henry is a guy you can grind every down with him, and he's going to end up wearing the defense out. So, to me, it's an insane game for him. 3 touchdowns, and to have this be the 3rd time he's done this.
Against that kind of defense that usually teams don't do that to. And it's also like when you're coming in the Titans, you know they're going to run the ball, and just teams can't stop them. Nope. It's insane how
Derrick Henry single-handedly wins games for the Titans, and he's going to continue to do that throughout the year. The Titans aren't a great team, but yet they're 4-2. So, to me, it's just you gotta respect Derrick Henry, and you kind of almost have to bail out and say, I want somebody else to beat us. Tannehill, you beat us through the air, and just try your best to make Derrick Henry not be the one to beat you. So that was our number 1 boom. He's going to be at the top of the list almost every week.
Yep.
Leonard Fournette here, number 2 actually on Monday night or Thursday night football against the Eagles. 30.7 points, 81 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 46 receiving yards, and then 6 catches on 6 targets. To me, this is the most surprising one, I think, to see in the top 5, especially this week in the top 3. Fournette is he's taking over this game. The backfield in Tampa, Ronald Jones, ever since he fumbled week 1, has just never been an option anymore. So to see them actually utilize him as well in the red zone was a big thing if you have Leonard Fournette. So that's what it's just, to me, this is the craziest stat line. he's just, I don't know, he's finally taken over, and Ronald Jones now is like a thing of the past.
I think Fournette's must start every week now.
Oh, yeah.
Past 3 weeks, he's gone in PPR 16, 21, then 30. And he's getting on the field more. And those past 3 weeks also, he's had 4.5 yards per carry, then 5.5, and then it was going to be about 3.7 this last week. So he's getting touchdowns. He's also had 5, and 6 targets of those past 3 weeks. I don't see why you'd be sitting him. I think he's a must start no matter what Tom Brady's been throwing to him. He's been just using that offense a lot, and that's just really opening up the Bucs and being able to throw the ball more when they know they have to worry about that guy in the backfield, because last year you didn't really have to. No. And now this year, I really think you do.
That's why I think the biggest improvement for Henry from last year to this year is his pass catching ability.
Did
they say Henry?
Yeah.
Oh, both of them. But Fournette as well. You're seeing him getting involved more in the pass game, which is huge for Leonard Fournette. And I think if they're going to continue to utilize him, like Giovanni Bernard, I think he had one game where he had 10 targets, but that was against the Dolphins, I believe. You're really not too much. It's like if I can get 6 points in a PPR league out of Fournette just by him catching the ball, I'll take that any day of the week. They do a lot of design screens to him, so it's just, to me, he's one that you're going to have to play every week, especially RB2 or flex spot. You're plugging in and playing him and not even worrying about losing touches to Bernard or Jones, especially Jones. And so he had a huge week, so that was the number 2. Number 3 running back this week is Jonathan Taylor. He has 29.8 points. He had 145 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns as well, 13 receiving yards on 1 reception. He did break off a long 70-plus yard run and got down to like the 2, and then he ended up punching it in for his first touchdown of the game. It wasn't really doing much. This is against Houston as well. But Jonathan Taylor has increasingly seen his touches go up, and Hines kind of falling back a little more. So that's a great sign to see if you're a Jonathan Taylor owner right now.
Yeah, last week was actually his highest snap count at 65%. Mm-hmm. This is the Jonathan Taylor that I thought we were going to see. When you play him, you know what you're getting out of him. He's their best running back. You give him the ball. The only thing that worries me a little bit is if he doesn't have those big runs, do they stop going to him and try to get Hines in there? Because if you think about it, this week he had the big run, and then again in week 4 against Miami, he had that big run also to get that touchdown. And that makes up a lot, over 50% of his total yards, because he's only getting 14, 15 carries a week. So it's something that worries me, but what doesn't worry me is the red zone opportunities. He's always in there on the red zone. They're giving him carries, so he's getting those touchdowns. So he's a must start. He's the number 5 running back in PPR right now. But it just worries me. Hopefully the Colts don't go back to doing 50%. Jonathan Taylor's your best player. You've got to keep him in the field.
I think they're kind of leaning off of that and kind of going to ride him to be their number 1 and just utilize his ability to run the football. And Hines is great, and I think he's a great switch-up back, but he's kind of a guy you need to trust in your draft pick in Taylor from last year. He's a second-year guy, and just kind of trust and see what he can do. So that was our third and last boom of the week for running backs. Let's go ahead and jump into wide receivers. Now, this one, I think there's a bigger list of people who had huge weeks, especially in PPR. But the first one, I think, is his first time being in the top 5 this year, is CeeDee Lamb. He had 36.1 points, 149 yards, 9 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. This was just a huge game for CeeDee, and I know he had over 100 yards. I think that last touchdown was like a 40-plus yard touchdown pass. So even without that, you're looking at 1 touchdown, 100 yards, 8 receptions or so, 7, 8 receptions. It's something we kind of expected at the beginning of the year to happen. And I think with Amari Cooper kind of being dinged up, it's only going to continue to grow for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, so it happened the first week. He had 140 yards. And we're like, okay, CeeDee Lamb's this is what he's going to do. And then after that, week 2 through 5, it's been a little disappointing. Last week he did have 18 because he did have a touchdown, but he only had 4 catches and only 6 targets. But he's on the field over 80% of the time. He had 11 targets. And his kind of like you said, Cooper, when he's banged up a little bit and when they have to throw the ball, because I feel like a lot of these games, especially against the Chargers, who are not good against the run, against the Eagles, the Panthers, and the Giants, when they're kind of winning that game and they just can run the ball. That's when CeeDee Lamb's not in there or not getting thrown the ball a lot. But when you see that Cowboys have to throw the ball, they have to catch up, they have to stay in the game, that's when you see CeeDee Lamb at his best.
And that's why, I think they use him a lot. I think people still key Cooper, which I would agree Amari's a better receiver than CD right now. He's a veteran. His routes are a little bit more crisp, and they're better. But at the same time, it's pick or choose. Like, you have to pick one or the other. And now you're seeing the development of Schultz as well.
Yep.
So you're looking at 3 solid receivers with Wilson coming up as well, not even having Gallup out there. 4 solid receivers with Zeke and Pollard out of the backfield. It's just hard for anybody to defend that. And it's kind of like pick your blood. Who do you want to lose to this week? Do you want to have Amari try to beat you, or do you want CeeDee Lamb to beat you, or Schultz? We saw against the Giants, it was Schultz. A couple weeks ago, it was Amari when he had those 2 touchdowns. So It's really whoever they want, but I think CeeDee's very capable of being a top 10 receiver each week if the Cowboys throw the ball. But like you said, when you have Zeke and Pollard, who, if they can get in a groove and get moving, it's tough to compete with them. So that was our number 1. The number 2, which I think is probably if you draft him, he's being a league winner for you right now. He's outperforming his average draft position, just playing out of his mind. It's Cooper Kupp. He had 34 points, 130 yards, 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns. His production has changed drastically with the addition of Matt Stafford. I feel like this offense is also more designed to get him involved more than what it was with Goff. And I don't know, I feel like every week he's fully capable of going for 30-plus in this offense.
Like, he's getting his lowest target for a game is 10. He's in double-digit targets every single game. Stafford's giving him the ball, trying to give him the ball, and it's just been insane. 7 touchdowns over the whole season. Has had 1 game under 90 yards. It's insane. Number 1 wide receiver in PPR, even just standard, because he's scoring those touchdowns. That's the big thing. You can be throw the ball a lot like your Brandon Cooks or like your Jacoby Myers, but Kupp's getting in the end zone. He's getting those red zone targets. He's getting in the end zone, and I think that's what makes him.
Is the only game he didn't score against was Seattle?
He has 2, Arizona and Seattle.
So he has 7 touchdowns in 6 weeks where he didn't score in 2 of those games?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, to me, it's 4 games. He scored 2 and 3 games.
3 games with 2 touchdowns in the first, and then in the first week he had 108 yards, but only 1 touchdown.
Yeah, so it's just, to me, they utilize him everywhere. It's not just he runs quick out routes on like screen pick plays that are within the 5-yard line every time. So to me, this is a guy that can continue to get this production, and I don't see it slowing. It might slow down a little bit, but I think you're looking at a 20-plus week every week out of Kupp.
Yeah, I think so. And also the yards per catch. He's getting 10 yards for every catch. So that you're getting a first down. He's going down the field. He's making those catches. And just that connection right now is, I think, the best in the NFL now when it's going.
Sean McVay is a great play caller and designer of getting people open. So I think it's something that's only going to continue to grow. And he's definitely one, I think, he's going to end up number 1 PPR if he stays healthy. And I think just in general, it's just been the Rams are showing day in, day out he's the guy for them. So, and not having Cam Akers, I think, helps a lot with Cooper Kupp getting the ball.
Yep.
So our next guy here is, we talked about his quarterback some. It's Adam Thielen, who had 29.8 points. He had 126 yards, 1 touchdown on 11 receptions. And this is coming off the 2 bust performances where I think he scored under 10 points each week.
Yep.
And so this is a huge bounce back week. But I feel like this is kind of what you're going to get out of Thielen all year. You're going to get these games where he gets high volume and a touchdown. But you also get those weeks where he's more of a low-volume guy, target share of guy, and you're going to see more Justin Jefferson. But huge week out of Thielen, really, and it's just something. The touchdowns, I think, are going to come almost all the time. So it's weird how it's all working with Dalvin Cook's out.
Kirk Cousins doesn't have 2 good games. Thielen doesn't have 2 good games. And then when Cook's in, Thielen's scoring touchdowns. Cousins throwing more touchdowns. It's crazy how this kind of makes his whole team better. So this kind of expected. We actually got a lot of DMs and people commenting like, when I'd ask like what's your last minute like questions or anything, people were like Thielen or someone else, and I always said Thielen. I'm big on Adam Thielen. He's going to get your red zone targets. I know it's not going to be like last year where he had a lot of touchdowns, but I think Kirk Cousins loves him. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to get open, and he has the snap count. He has a target share. It's just getting him the ball, and then it kind of went back to this. Once Dalvin Cook came back, Thielen got the ball a lot more.
That's what I think. And with Cook being a threat out of the backfield, too, I think it helps Thielen a lot. Mm-hmm. So it takes away Jefferson doubling Thielen. It's more you double Jefferson, take one-on-one matchup with Thielen, then you have to kind of come off to help out with Dalvin Cook out of the backfield because he is a good pass catcher. So that was a huge week for him, coming off 2 bust performances from him. And that was our number 3. Our number 4 for the wide receiver position this week is rookie Jalen Waddle. He had 29 points, 70 yards with 2 touchdowns, 10 receptions. And this was a game that was played in London against the Jaguars. And to me, I feel like this is a game what you can expect out of Waddle. The 10 catches, a lot of them were short, quick hitters for him.
But I think both touchdowns weren't they like in the 5-yard line?
Yeah, so to me, I think this is something you're going to see a lot out of him. I think you're going to see high volume receptions from him each week. And as you're going, I think Tua doesn't like to throw the ball downfield. So I think having a guy like Waddle where you can get the ball out quick and have him be the playmaker that he is a great asset to have, especially in like a flex position if you have Waddle.
Yeah, especially I saw.
Because the Dolphins, to me, still don't use any run game, which blows my mind. They're still trying to run Malcolm Brown up the middle for 1 yard, and he got stuffed again twice. So to me, it's just crazy. I think their best option is throwing him the ball when they're a yard short.
Yep. So Tua does like Jalen Waddle a lot more than Brissett did. Brissett was kind of going around to people, but Waddle is Tua's guy, so I don't look a whole lot into it because it is against the Jaguars and the Dolphins are bad, but Dolphins are going to throw the ball a lot, and Jalen Waddle's going to get the ball a lot and hopefully get into that end zone. Because I know it's not a lot of yards on 10 catches, but 2 touchdowns. I feel like this is what's going to happen with him because how bad the Dolphins are.
Yeah, and I think they're just going to utilize him a lot in the quick game. So you're going to see those, especially PPR, take those cheap points when you can get them. Why not? Like 100%. I love a nice catch for a full point, and just take it when you can get it. But like 29 points, I think this is pretty high for him. That's a pretty high ceiling. We've seen his floor be pretty low so far this year, but I think he'll consistently sit around that 10 to 20 range each week. And that's something, and it was just nice seeing him have a good game. And I think the way they utilize him this week is what we're going to see a lot more. Mm-hmm. So that was our last boom for wide receivers. Now we're going to go to tight ends here. And surprisingly, Travis Kelce is not number 1. It's actually going to be Noah Fant here with the Denver Broncos. 24.7 points, 9 receptions, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that the wide receiver core in Denver is all banged up. And I think Noah Fant is a solid tight end option. It's just he put up a big week. And I think, like I said, it has a lot to do with the core being non-healthy.
Yeah, one thing about Noah Fant is he's actually staying healthy.
Yeah.
Everyone else is hurt. Noah Fant is known to kind of always be hurt.
Yep.
But he's been playing a lot. 89% snap count last game, had 11 targets. I think the Broncos are just trying to turn it back around to where they're winning again. So they're just trying to find a way to win. And Teddy Bridgewater went to Noah Fant a lot, got into the end zone and with 9 catches. So I expect to see that this week against a Browns team that will be banged up. So I think the Broncos see this as a must-win almost on Thursday night. So
especially going into Cleveland,
you have to do what works, and giving Noah Fant the ball, it works.
Yeah, that's what. A lot of times they utilize him in short routes, which I think helps Bridgewater. So that was a big performance. I think he's also a guy that you can rely on tight end getting you. Like tight ends don't score a lot, but a great week out of him is like 10 plus points. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy who can easily do that, and he can put up these big numbers too because he is super athletic as well. The next guy here we have at tight end is Mike Gesicki, 19.5 points, 8 catches, 115 yards. He's starting to get involved into the offense a lot more. This is kind of what we saw last year. Now, if he just starts getting some of those red zone touches that he was getting last year, it'll only improve his numbers. But Mike Gesicki here, I think, is just he's the only other guy outside of Jalen Waddle for the Dolphins right now, and I think you're going to see that load continue to go to him, and he's going to continue to be successful.
He's on the field 70% of the time, has at least 6 targets besides week 1, so they're trying to give him the ball. He had 8 catches this week, just couldn't get into the end zone, but they're just using him almost just as another wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's going down the field, had 115 yards on 8 catches, so I don't expect that to slow down because, like we said about Jalen Waddle, Dolphins are going to have to pass the ball a lot.
Yeah.
They can't run. They can run, but they decide not to use the right players, so you got to pass it. So Gesicki, number 8 tight end right now in PPR, I expect that to maybe even go up a little bit more.
I think he's only that low because of that first week performance they had. So he's looking great, with especially Fuller and Parker kind of being dinged up right now too. Then I had pretty much a tie here for number 3. Travis Kelce, 17.9. Mark Andrews, 17.8. Both had very solid performances. This is just kind of what you expect out of these two.
Mark Andrews bounced back as Lamar's just goes to him now, and Marquise Brown. So
Andrews got in the end zone. So to me, it's just solid week out of those two. This is kind of what you expect. I think Andrews, he has made a huge turn, and I think you're only going to see him continue to get more targets and more receptions and yards, especially some red zone work. So. That will round out our booms of the week for running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. Now let's go some of the busts, some of the weak performances here. And I didn't put any tight ends because I feel like tight ends you can pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
They all have bad weeks. So quarterbacks we'll start with. Number 1 quarterback who had a very poor performance was Daniel Jones. 4.1 points, 242 yards, 3 interceptions versus the Rams. I mean, what else can you really expect? It's just...
What's crazy to me is he played 100% of the snaps, so he was on the field the whole time when they have guys hurt left and right, and they're keeping him out there. He's been terrible at home, not very good. He's actually better on the road than he is at home, but... No touchdowns. Yeah. There's not much else to say. The Rams just did everything.
Yeah, they're one of the top. Right. I think they're like the top scoring defense right now too. It's just Daniel Jones. He's got nobody to throw to. You got Saquon's out. Tony goes out first second drive. Shepard's the only guy you got out there. Ingram's worth a bag of potatoes at this point. He's terrible. So to me, it's just hit or miss. Just bad performance from him, especially starting quarterback. In those deeper leagues, you're stuck starting him. It is what it is. But he was our number 1 bust. The number 2 bust, and I'm going to kind of bunch. You'll see all these guys pretty much. The whole Chargers team was terrible.
I could go on for
Justin Herbert being
sucked.
Putting up a terrible performance. He only put up 11 points. He had 195 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This offense just looked like they were in a lull. Just couldn't get anything going.
Yep.
So
it was just not fun to watch.
No.
Had some bets on this game, and just the Chargers really just let a lot of people down. And between that, then you had Eckler only getting 7 points or so, something like that. They couldn't run, they couldn't pass.
Eckler, Williams, Herbert, just everything in part of this game was bad. Their defense,
Chargers,
everything was bad.
It's not a good matchup. The Ravens are not a good matchup for the Chargers.
So that was our number 2. The number 3 is actually his counterpart in that game, Lamar Jackson. Although they did beat him 36-6, Lamar Jackson only put up 11.8 points. He had 160 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And how many yards rushing did he have? I don't think he had a lot.
51. Because I took the over the 60.
So then that's what it is. So 51 yards, so that's 5 points there. To me, it's just tough week for Lamar. If you take away his rushing performance, you're looking at 6.8 points basic off his passing performance.
Yeah, that's what they did. They used all 3 running backs, and they ran them. I think all 3 of them had around the same amount of yards. All of them scored a touchdown. So that's where it all went. You can run on the Chargers. That's what is happening, you can't really pass on them, so you'd run. And the Ravens have a bunch of running backs, so that's what they did.
And I know Lamar had 1 touchdown, 2 Andrews, and I think even Marquise Brown dropped another touchdown pass.
Yep. Yes,
so just a bad week out of a guy you expect to put up 20-plus a week, especially using his legs. So Lamar finished with 11.8. Then let's go to the next. That rounds out the bust for quarterback for me. Do you have one last bust you want to throw out there?
Nope, that's it.
That's what. Okay, so running backs here, the bust. I think this one right here is a big one. I think people overbought on him, overspent if you have fab dollars and everything because he's probably dropped. And that's Myles Gaskin with the Dolphins. He came back against the Bucs team, which is great against the run. He was utilized a lot in the receiving game. Put up 30 points last week, 3.4 points this week. 9 rush yards, 5 receiving yards, 2 receptions, no touchdowns. To me,
it's not even on him.
It's Brian Flores, that play calling. It's the trust they have in freaking Malcolm Brown blows my mind. And he played a bad Jaguars run defense, which to me is it's crazy to me. But him, I think you got to put him up here because he went off for 30, so people are thinking, oh, he's playing a bad Jags team. Got to pounce on him hard here.
Yeah, you would think, oh, he scored 2 touchdowns. Let's keep giving him the ball.
Yeah. No. So if you probably start him, your RB2 and flex, hoping to get the same performance. Well, he really laid an egg for you. Didn't do anything. So he was the first bust I have here. The second bust here, you could kind of go a tandem of them. It was Chase Edmonds and James Conner. Both put up around. Edmonds had 8. I think Conner had like 8.4. Edmonds here only had 46 rushing yards, 4 receiving yards, and 3 receptions.
Yeah, 40 of those rushing yards was on his first run.
So to me, it's just I don't know if the Cardinals are utilizing him as much as they want to, or
I just think they have so many weapons that they're just throwing they can throw the ball to anyone.
Yeah.
And then if they want
to Kyler Murray can run.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. It's hard to I have Hopkins, and it's hard because no one is getting a lot of those points. They're so evenly distributed that it's just take or pick.
Like Hopkins, he's in our bust category if he doesn't score 2 touchdowns.
Yep. I
think he had 3 catches for 27 yards or something like that. So it's like you said, there's too many weapons. You're hoping that Edmonds gets it turned around this week against a bad Houston team. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do there. It's just I feel like him and Conner kind of 50-50 splits. If Edmonds not breaking a long one, then Conner's getting the red zone touches, so it's kind of tough there. So that was our second guy. Our third guy is kind of what we hit on already. Part of the Chargers game, Eckler, 9.5 points. He only had 7 rush yards, 48 receiving yards on 4 receptions. Just an all-around bad game for the Chargers, like we already talked about. Eckler, huge disappointment, especially in a guy who's been a PPR monster this year. And just really in general, he's been a monster in every league.
It's just disappointing for the Chargers. No one stood out, so they could stop the run, so they had a pass, and they stopped the pass. So
that's right.
Nothing happened.
Nothing to hang your hat on and get worried, but just a super sad performance.
Yeah,
he'll probably put 40 next week or something stupid. But so Eckler really had a down week, and if you started hoping big points, you didn't deliver. Then our next ones, we'll go ahead. That rounds out our bust for running backs. Let's go ahead and do our bust for wide receivers here. Mike Evans on Thursday Night Football against the Eagles. He only put up 4.7 points, 2 receptions with 27 yards. This is what you get when you're playing a Bucs receiver, not named Antonio Brown, I think.
Yeah, Mike Evans is the definition of a boom or bust.
Yeah, him and Godwin's more consistent. Evans has these games where it's 2 receptions and that's it. Yep. Or, I remember last week he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns for 2 yards. Yep. And that's all it was. So it's tough for playing a guy with Mike Evans. You don't know what is going to happen.
He could go for 10 catches, 150 yards with 3 touchdowns. It's just up and down for him. It's very hard to. You have to play him because of that, but then you have weeks like this. Yeah,
you're putting him in at a flex and just hoping he has a big week. Mm-hmm. If he's playing your wide receiver 2 and you have nobody else better, it's kind of like. It is what it is. You're hoping for big weeks. But you're looking at, I think Brown is that main guy that they want to get the ball to. Godwin's the most consistent between the 3 of them, I think. I think he's always around that 9 to 15 point range where Brown can be really low and really high. And then you're looking at Evans, especially right now, without Gronk and not getting those red zone touches that you would hope he would get with Gronk being out. Mm-hmm. So it's a down week for him. It's just Bucks. You're taking a gamble no matter what.
Yep.
And then we got his counterpart here, Mike Williams, joining the party at 4.7 points as well with 2 receptions, 27 yards too. Both bad performances. Just Mike Williams disappeared. I think he's had 2 games like this where he's just been a non-existent factor.
In all the other games, he just goes off.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it because the Chargers were bad altogether.
Yeah, it's just you take it, you lose, you do whatever you got to do with Mike Williams, and you just keep playing him, and you're just glad he came out of the game healthy. Yep. And that's all you can keep saying each week is that he's healthy and he's not hurt. So down week from all Chargers. Mike Williams rounded it out for him. And then our last one here, I think this, to me, was one of the more disappointing ones to see. I was about to
say the same thing. It was so frustrating watching this.
Devontae Smith against the really poor pass-defending Tampa Bay Buccaneers, only putting up 5.1 points. He had 2 receptions, 31 yards. That offense, to me, looked lost. And it was just, I don't know. You were hoping for a huge game out of Smith, kind of breakout.
Yep. If I had him, I was starting him. I thought it was going to be the week.
Yeah, and then he turned out. It looks like they're designing more plays for Agnew than they are for Smith, which to me is concerning because you draft this guy in the top 20. Why are we not using him to get the ball?
Jalen Hurts just looks lost sometimes.
Oh, yeah. That whole offense.
It looks so bad. They started running the ball in the second half, and they're actually getting some success on it, but it was too late. It was too late to do so.
And I think Miles Sanders, he's one. I feel like they don't utilize him like they should be doing. I think he's a very good runner. I think he's only a second year back. I think he's underutilized a lot. And to me, it's just they're trusting Jalen Hurts and giving him way too much time to stand there and try to get sacked and make a play. Where I think you need to start getting the ball like we saw with Jalen Waddle. Mm-hmm. Do that with Smith. Mm-hmm. Just to get them going, get them in a rhythm. Do that with Gainwell. Do that with everybody on their team just to get them going. That rounds out our wide receiver bust. No tight ends because
there's a lot of tight ends.
Tight ends always bust and do nothing. That's the worst position.
Probably say Waller after his first week.
Waller's been terrible. Not great.
He's been a bust since week 1. So.
Yeah, 20 targets week 1 and then
just
nothing after that. Yeah,
just not doing a lot. 7-6 points.
Yeah, he's just consistently it's just bad. Jared Cook's not doing anything. So it's interesting to see. Only something to watch out for. And then that will round out our booms and busts. No waiver wire stuff because it's Wednesday. It already happened. But it's pretty obvious who you're going for. Anybody on the Bears, you're looking at Herbert, or you were looking at one of the Browns' backup running backs because
the Johnson. You're picking him up.
But I will say the one Thursday Night Football. We'll get into our bets here. But it's Denver at Cleveland. One of my sleeper picks for this game, I actually have is going to be Dominic Peoples-Jones.
Yep.
And I think because you're looking at Odell kind of being dinged up, you're looking at everybody else in the backfield being hurt. He is usually their number 3, and he's very talented, and I think it's his second or third year in the league. He's a guy that I think could have a huge game with Case Keenum, and that's why I think, if you have him or he's in your waiver and you're it's huge bye week, go pick somebody up. If you want to try to make a risky play and be I'm smarter than you, I think getting Dominic Peoples-Jones in a flex position is huge for your play this week. And Austin Hooper at tight end, if you're looking for tight ends as well, I think those two will be utilized a lot in this game.
Yeah, Case Keenum actually likes to throw the ball downfield a little bit, and that's what Peoples-Jones, that's what he does. Last week had 101 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That's what I mean.
I know one of them was a Hail Mary at the end, but he's good at those deep balls, and Case Keenum likes to throw that. You're going to have to take a shot against this Denver defense. You're going to have to score some points.
Your backup quarterback, you got to do something.
And so, I've actually been looking at that a little bit. I have a couple guys out on injury and with the bye because there's a lot of big buys this week, so that's someone you might be looking for to pick up too.
That's why he's definitely a big addition. Let's see, the buys are, I know it's Cowboys, Steelers,
Chargers,
Vikings. There's 2 other teams. It's 6 teams.
Jaguars.
Yep.
And
I feel like because my whole bench is, I gotta think about who it is. But yeah, there's 6 teams that are on bye, and it's a big week, and because they're all pretty much teams that develop high scoring players. So, so go, like, if you have a chance to pick up somebody and he's available, I go pick him up right now. So that will round out our booms and busts for this week, and the Bills. Bills are also the last one. So we'll go ahead and jump into some of our gambling picks. I feel like for us being a fantasy football NFL podcast, I do 1,000 times better in college football picks than I do. I think I'm like 6-2 in college football.
Yep, I'm pretty close. Been hot in college, and then last 2 or 3 weeks have just been
gambling in general. NFL has just bent me over and said, "Give me your money," and I'm just like, whatever. So let's go ahead and start. You want to start with Thursday night or college football picks first?
Let's do Thursday night.
All right. So Thursday night football, like we said, Broncos at the Browns with a dinged up Browns football team, and the spread was -1.5 right now. Browns in favor over the Broncos, and I think honestly, you're looking at either taking. If you're betting Broncos, I think you're taking a money line straight. 1 point. What are you gonna do? I take Broncos money line straight up +108 right here.
Yeah. I was actually able to get the line in on DraftKings before Case Keenum was announced.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually got Broncos +3.5. I got the under at 42.5, and then I also got money line at +130.
Yeah.
So I'm going just at the Broncos. I think they're must win. They see a really banged up Browns team that just is struggling right now. Kind of everyone on their offense is hurt. So it's a time to get a win. I think the Broncos will.
And that's why I agree. I feel like it's a big week for the Broncos. They started off hot and they've lost 2 or 3 in a row now. So I'm looking at the Broncos to win this game as well, taking advantage of that weakened offensive line especially. So I like Broncos as well, money line straight here. What do you have any other like prop bets for this one? Or
honestly, I would like to see what People Jones is at. We talked about him, and that's something I
know he's anytime touchdown score, he's one to keep an eye out for. And I think even having like Austin Hooper might be a nice selection. He's a big body. They also like to utilize in the red zone.
Yeah.
So he's something to keep an eye out for in the game on Thursday. But let's see. Yeah, Peoples Jones, I think. I don't know if he has a.
They might not come out with it yet. Especially
with all these FanDuel right now. There's nothing right now. All it is
DraftKings. It's not either.
All it is Broncos players. So
yep,
I'm looking at that. You got rushing yards, so we do have Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, and Dearness. But for right now, I think I'm sticking with the Broncos. I'm just going to ride money line for this week and just kind of look at that and hope it carries on. And that's what I'm going with for this first one.
Yep. So I have Broncos, the money line also +3.5, but then also I have the under at 42.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Here's my other bet that I would maybe do. I'm looking at total points for the Broncos at over 10 in the first half. And it's +115 right now. So I think I'm going to take Broncos money line, and then I am also going to take Broncos over 10 right now. And that is all I'm going to touch for that game for right now. I need to save some money and be smart in my bets and not do whatever. So that's what I'm doing. So I got Broncos money line and Broncos first half over at 10.
Yep, and then I have Broncos +3.5, a little bit on the money line, and under 42.5 for the whole game.
Perfect. So that is our Thursday night picks. We talked about some people to kind of keep an eye out for. Browns wise, Broncos, any big players that you think will have a huge performance? Like, if you had to pick one, or do you think it's going to be
I would pick one. I'm actually going with Tim Patrick. I know Noah Fant had the big game last week, but I think he's been very consistent of being around 10 points. Mm-hmm. And I think if he just has that one breakaway game, so I like Tim Patrick this week.
That's what I saw. A lot of people are thinking that it's going to be a big week for Javonte Williams, big breakout week. I feel like they've been saying that for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're literally all year.
They're pretty much the same running back. And I've also seen rumors that if the Broncos were to lose this game, look out for Melvin Gordon being on the block because they're pretty much the same person in the backfield. So that is our Thursday night football picks. What do you got for NFL college football this weekend?
We got 3.
Okay,
and they are 3 favorites.
Okay.
I am going to go with first. I'm going Pittsburgh -3 over to Clemson. Pittsburgh is the favorite to win the ACC now, and I think Pittsburgh they're at home, and this is the game. If they win this, they win the ACC pretty much, and I think they're going to come out play. And I think Clemson's just not that good. That offense is not very good.
No, so DJ Uiagalelei has looked terrible.
Yep, and so I'm going with Pittsburgh -3. My next one is going to be Is going to be Notre Dame -6.5 over USC. USC has just been kind of a dumpster fire this year.
Yeah.
Haven't really won much. And Notre Dame's won some bigger games. I know they lost in Cincinnati, but then they went to North Carolina State and won that. That was a big win.
Yeah.
So I think in this rivalry that they need to just kind of come out and they're going to beat the shit out of USC at Notre Dame. And then my third one, I'm actually going North Carolina State -3 at Miami. Miami lost their starting quarterback. Just Miami's not very good. And I think North Carolina State has looked pretty good this season. I know they lost the big one against Notre Dame. But they have I think they have a good team that's 3 points better than Miami.
Yeah. Okay, not bad. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to start out with, it's going to be a Thursday night game. So tomorrow, actually, it's going to be SMU against Tulane, going to be -14. SMU, they played hard, and I think they beat TCU, which was a solid win for them. I just think they're way better than Tulane. Their quarterback's solid. They have a solid run game. I just expect them to physically dominate Tulane. Tulane played hard against Oklahoma at the beginning of the year, but I like it.
Oklahoma
now, so. I like SMU. I think SMU is going to win. I think they win big, so I take SMU -14. And then as well as I'm looking, I had, because if you look at Oklahoma, they're -38.5 right now against Kansas.
I thought about that. Kansas is terrible.
They're really bad at football. So it's just, to me, it's just kind of toss up. My second one that I had here is so the one I keep coming back to is Wisconsin-Purdue. And right now, Wisconsin's -3 when they're playing at Purdue, who just had a huge upset against.
Yeah, the books really love Wisconsin.
Iowa.
I was thinking about Purdue. I know they're not. They've won 4. They won at Iowa.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's not a good offense either.
No.
So I don't see how that Wisconsin.
The line is so big like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either. My next one's going to be San Diego State +3.5 against Air Force. And then I also have my last one here, going back to ride with Fresno State. They're playing Nevada, and they're favored -3. And they're at home against Nevada, 6 o'clock game on Saturday night. And I'm going to take Fresno State -3 this week. I feel like this week's spreads are they're super big and super weird.
Yeah, it's not a big college football week. No.
Like Alabama's favored by 25 against Tennessee.
I think the probably biggest claims Pittsburgh and Clemson. I would guess that might be
probably because I think this is and I think a lot of people might ride Clemson +3, just thinking Pittsburgh can't get over that hump this year. So
I think they can, but yeah, because that Clemson team's not good. But Clemson, Dabo Sweeney, they know how to win the big games, so would not be surprised.
Yeah, so that is all I'm actually going to do. I keep coming back to this Purdue-Wisconsin game. I feel like I want to take Purdue. But I also feel like we should take Wisconsin because Purdue's coming off a big win against Iowa at Iowa.
See, I thought the same thing.
But Purdue's home, so it's just what
I thought the same thing against when Michigan played Wisconsin. Wisconsin was favored by 2 points, and that game wasn't even close.
Yeah, so I don't know. So those are the 3 games I'm going to ride with for right now. Do you have any other ones or anything?
I think I'm going to ride with you on SMU.
That's what I'm taking them tomorrow.
Yep.
Like SMU, I think they're going to play and
Because
beat
that
up on
Thursday
Tulane.
night football game is not going to be very good, so they're going to need something else to watch.
I got 2 TVs. You know, we throw them on both. So so that is all we have. That's Booms Bus, our Thursday night picks, our college football picks. Our next episode will be out. It'll be our starts and sits for the week, and that'll come out later this week. But we'll try to pick them back again. Just been super busy, so we haven't been able to film it. But that is week 6, Booms and Busts. Now we'll see you next time on our week 7 must starts and sits. We appreciate all the support. See you guys.